We're really excited to be kicking this off and doing this for the very first time. And hopefully this is going to be like an ongoing thing that we try to do more often, just so we're getting that ongoing connection with the community. And that's really the purpose of this session, is to connect with the community. What are some of the areas that we can support in? Maybe someone is just getting started and wants to a little bit an extra support. So this is going to be exactly for that, to provide that support, and also an opportunity for you all to hear from us, as much as it is an opportunity for us to hear from you all as well. So in each one of those sessions, we will actually be featuring a tech talk where we will have a specific topic that we will be discussing. And then this would be a chance for anyone to also ask any questions. And the feedback for those topics will really be based on what the community is looking to learn more about. What are some of the topics of interest that you maybe would love to learn more about? So really the purpose of this is to be more community driven than anything. We'd also love the participation, so that if anyone has any feedback or any topics, maybe any best practices on their side that they would love to share, that's definitely always welcome as well. So what did we actually have for the agenda today? So first off, we're going to be doing an introduction for our team. You've definitely seen us a lot around within the Slack channel. So we're going to be introducing each one of us, what are the different roles that we do. And then we're also going to be getting into the feature tech talk, right? And as I mentioned before, this is going to be kind of a short talk about a product feature, going through that product feature and how to set it up, and also driving different discussions on it as well. So for today's topic, we're going to be starting off with RudderStack instrumentation. This is something that some of you are already maybe doing or are looking to do. So we wanted to go into how do we set things up within RudderStack, and also tracking plans, right? When you go through setting up multiple sources, when you have data coming from those different sources, it might just be that you want a way to keep track of that data and actually manage what that data looks like, so that you're getting reliable and accurate data for all your downstream analytics tool. So we're actually going to be seeing how tracking plans can be helpful and useful for that. We'll go through also see how those work in action. So we'll do a demo, and then open to any questions that you have. Obviously, anyone can interrupt anytime and ask any questions if they need to as well. So, all right, so before we get started, we're going to do a quick introduction to our team. So I can go ahead and get started. My name is Sarah. I'm with the developer relations team here at RudderStack, and my role involves supporting the developer community, whether that's through creating content that helps you get started with RudderStack and helps you envision what to do with the product, or through live events and sessions that help provide like a better developer experience in general. And so I'm based in Toronto and really excited to be kicking off the session with like an awesome team, which I'll let you guys also introduce yourself. Sander, do you want to go?
Sure, I'll go next. Hi, my name is Sander. I'm fairly new to RudderStack, just joined a couple of months ago. I work in the marketing team, and I'm based in Berkeley, California. Who wants to go next?
Yeah.
Hi, I am Srikanth. I work as a senior software engineer in the SRE team here at RudderStack. I'm based out of Austin, Texas, and I also try to contribute to the open source community of RudderStack by answering any support queries that users have in whatever capacity I can do.
Thank you, Srikanth.
Hey, hi, I'm Ranganath. I'm a customer success engineer here at RudderStack, and so I'm the one. So if you've sent a message on RudderStack, have a query, then you would have probably interacted with me. I'm the one who's the first line of defense here when it comes to open source questions. And yeah, happy to help out. I'm based out of India, Hyderabad. So I just wanted you guys to know. Nice meeting you all.
Hey everyone, I'm Pradeep and I work with RudderStack as developer relations. And my core focus area is on open source project. So if you have any feedback for the open source project, how can we make it better? If you're facing any issues, I would love to hear that and resolve that. And also, if any way I can help the community to engage with each other and make the best out of RudderStack, I'm there for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. So with that, then I guess we can go ahead and get started. This is something that some of you may have are already maybe in stages where you're already implemented RudderStack, or maybe you are currently in the process of reviewing one of those pipelines and testing it out, right? So regardless where you are with RudderStack, we kind of support 3 different types of pipelines in general. And for the first type of pipeline, you've got the event streams, which helps you essentially set up and capture any customer behavior, any interactions that are occurring either within your web or mobile applications, right? And really, it's the bread and butter with RudderStack, because it kind of unlocks a lot of insights that you can get just from capturing that customer data from your apps. So again, with event streams, you have the option of using one of the multiple SDKs that are supported and sending all of that clickstream and behavioral data to multiple destinations, which can be either your cloud data warehouse destinations or some of your sales, marketing, and analytics tools as well, to unlock a lot of useful insights for your business. So with event streams, again, you can set up a source and then send that data to multiple destinations. You can also set up an ETL pipeline, right? And that's kind of the second type of pipeline that's supported, where you'll have different, which can be either Salesforce, can be Google Analytics, and then extract data from those different sources and then send those to one destination that is supported here, which is the cloud data warehouse destination, right? So in ETL or cloud extract, only one destination here is supported, which is sending your data directly to a data warehouse. And then lastly, with reverse ETL, you have the option of taking that data that has gone through different enrichments and transformations within your data warehouse and then sending it back to your entire data stack so that you can actually unlock a lot of insights from the data after it has been modeled within your data warehouse, and then take advantage of use cases such as real-time user personalization, maybe lead scoring, and send those back to your analytics tools and then use them and utilize them within those tools themselves. And today we're kind of going to be focusing mostly on event streams and how do we implement tracking plans on those event stream pipelines. Whenever you set up different sources and start sending your data to destinations, whether those are cloud data warehouse destinations or analytics destinations, it might be that you end up multiple sources that are now sending the data, and you might also end up with a high volume of data. So if you are within a team with a data engineering team, or if you've worked on projects where you're getting data from multiple sources, one obstacle that is always present there is having to work with data that's coming from different sources and make sure it's within the same format. So there's a lot of data cleaning that's usually involved that the data engineers have to go through. And so in the case of event streams, when you're getting data from different sources and that data is being ingested in large volumes, especially when you have high traffic websites, can get a little bit. And so one best practice that you can do in order to avoid that is add a tracking plan or implement some of the data governance features and add those to your sources. And so that's something that's possible within RudderStack through 3 different types of features. So data governance API is, to start with, is an API that essentially gives you a full, complete scan across all the different sources that are within your control plane, and essentially you can take a look at all the different schema of the events that are coming in, and then use that to evaluate and troubleshoot any data discrepancies. So let's say, as an example, you have a website where this is an e-commerce website, and you are tracking certain events, such as whether a item got added to a cart, and you'll see that there are two different versions of that are used to describe that event. So data governance APIs give you the ability to basically look at those discrepancies and actually pinpoint what are some of those areas, what are some of those events that are sending data that does not conform to the actual schema. So data governance API, if we were to look at an example of that, essentially this just lets us run an API across our data plane, and then get back all of the different event models for the data that's being sent, the events that are being sent. So as an example here, this is like one of the events. Each one of them will be given a specific ID, and then you'll be able to see the schema for that event that is being sent out, right? So again, when you set up your sources, or you set up your SDKs within RudderStack, you are getting multiple different types of events. Those are different event types, but those are also event names that are associated to them. So you can get those different types of schema names, and then associate them with a particular event type, and then basically use that to track any discrepancies. Like as an example here, I could see that this event type has a specific schema model associated to it, and then I can also get the count of how many of those events are being sent out. So I can see this again to compare two different events that may have the same name but kind of a different spelling of it, or a different name of how it's represented, and basically get an idea of what is the one that's actually needs to be sent. So I can actually accompany this with maybe transformations to see if there are any areas which I may want to fix, as an example. So here I have a simple example of using the data governance API, and by using Postman, I can actually make calls against the data governance API and get information and metadata about the different event types that are being sent within my data plane. So I can actually scan through those, go through those events. This will be helpful in some scenarios where I want to basically compare two different events that basically represent the same thing but are maybe named differently, right? So to detect for any consistencies of how this event data was named and how it's being sent out, right? So event models enables me to capture that across all the sources within my data plane. I can specify that by a particular source by passing the right key, and I can also extract useful information, like as an example, if there are particular properties within a specific event model and an event ID that I can pass here, which have missing values within them, or just if I want to get the total number or total count of those properties as well. So this is the data governance API, and it's really helpful for detecting any inconsistencies, any typos maybe across all my different events, or any misinterpretations between different teams and how they, in the naming conventions that they used for the event. Now, tracking plans, they're really actually tied with data governance APIs in a way. Tracking plans allow you to basically specify a policy or a set of rules in which you can say, I want all of my events to look like a specific way based on the specific model that I can describe here. So tracking plans, and we'll see an example of that later, let you describe what you want your event data to look, and then apply that plan to a specific source where you can actually audit any incoming data and compare it against the tracking plan to see if it's actually compliant with how you want it to look like. So we'll see actually later how data governance APIs tie into tracking plans and allow you to generate schema models based on the data that's already being captured. And lastly, the Rudder Typer, which is a library wrapper that you can actually, if you want to take it a step further and make sure you are creating an enforcement on the data schema. So not just really getting an idea of what the data looks like and tracking for any violation or non-compliant data, but also trying to enforce it on the application level, where say you have maybe some new developers joining a team, you want them kind of to know all the different naming conventions, you want them to take advantage of some autocomplete capabilities, then you can add those to the Rudder Typer library. And in this case, they will be able, whenever they're writing any, they should be able to see only the event names that they are allowed to use here. So it kind of adds an added level of enforcement on the application development layer. So anyone has anything to add here? Anyone maybe wants to share some examples from what they've seen, or any comments so far?
I just wanted to quickly point out that I posted a link in the chat about the tracking plans. So I don't know if William was able to see that, but I can post that again.
Awesome.
Hey,
Yeah. And once this is done, we are actually going to be adding a number of links in the thread for or also in the community office hours channel. So you'll be able to see all of them there as well. So now if we were to get into the tracking plan components, and again, this is going back to those three that were mentioned before, all of those kind of sit within the whole data governance umbrella within RudderStack. And we're actually going to be seeing that even if we were to use the tracking plans, there is a component of it where you're actually going to be calling the data governance API to get an idea of the schema types and the models that are currently available. What are the tracking plan components? What does it actually consist of? So the tracking plan is something that you should be able to access through the RudderStack dashboard. Obviously, you need to be on like a pro or enterprise plan to have access to this feature. But if you are, then you should be able to see that within your RudderStack dashboard. Now, the way you're able to control your tracking plans is through a tracking plan spreadsheet. And the way you would get that spreadsheet is by just visiting our documentation, and there you should be able to see that the spreadsheet, a spreadsheet or a template is available to you for the tracking plan, which lets you there kind of define the different types of events that you are expecting to ingest from your different sources. Okay, so the tracking plan spreadsheet is actually where all the planning is going to happen. And then each spreadsheet will be communicating directly with your dashboard to add any of the tracking plans that you want to associate with any of your sources. So let's actually take a look at this within the dashboard. Okay, so this is an example of a tracking plan. And the way you would get this is simply through by going to the documentation, right? And everything regarding how to get started with tracking plans should be available there. And you'll see that it starts it all starts with a spreadsheet. And the idea behind having a spreadsheet available is because a tracking plan, when we think of how we want the data to look like, this is an effort this is a combined effort between different teams, right? So it's not just data engineers or developers that will kind of be working on the definition of those events or what the properties of the events should look like. It's more of an effort that multiple teams will collaborate on. So with the tracking plan, you have that ability to kind of list all of the event properties and data within that, the event properties and the event types, so that it can be kind of a source that your tracking plan will reference in order to do any type of validation on any incoming events. So I'll start basically with the main homepage, which is essentially this is where you get started with tracking plans. You'll have to add a name for your tracking plan, specify a sheet in which this sheet would be where you kind of define your event name as well as any properties that will be associated to it, and then some other details about those events, such as what are the different property types that you expect to receive from those events, right? You can also define whether this is an optional property type or whether it's required, so that it actually has to be within the events that are being sent. So really all you need to do to start with the tracking plan is specify your API personal access token. And this is something that you would be getting from your dashboard, right? So if I go to the RudderStack dashboard, I should be able to get my personal access token from the settings, right? So again, this is something that will uniquely identify your account and associate it with this tracking plan. So that's something you'll need. You'll add also some other details like your email, and then you'll need to basically specify what is the sheet name that needs to be used as your tracking plan. And again, this will be similar to this sheet that I've just shown here. In an example where maybe I'm getting the different form types, tracking the different buttons that are being clicked. A sheet in this case can look like this one. And this is basically tracking events from my blog website, which essentially I just want to track really simple things like who was selecting some of those services, who's like interested in those services, and also in case anyone tries to contact me via the contact form, right? So this is, again, a very simple example, and we'll show how tracking plans will work on that. So this is one option you have, which is to kind of go to a sheet that you already have created, or author the sheet from scratch, and then upload that as your tracking plan to your source. But another option that you have is you can actually get the tracking plan based on existing source events, right? In a simple example where it's like a blog site and I don't have a lot of events that I'm ingesting, authoring your tracking plan from scratch could be okay. However, in a case where you're maybe dealing with like an e-commerce website where you have different events like items added to a cart, products being purchased, it would need to be more detailed. So you would have to get those events directly from those source. So you don't actually have to start from scratch. You don't have to author those tracking plans from the beginning. You can just create a tracking plan from an existing source. Now, in order to do so, you'll actually have to go to the additional features tab, which is you'll see it's kind of another tab that exists on the right of homepage. And here you'll have to add things like your data plane, the right key for that source. It's currently added, but kind of hidden right now for the right key for the source that I plan to ingest the data from, and also the username and password, which is something you would be getting from our team, right? And so those would be the same as your Grafana dashboard credentials. So if you already have those, then you can just use the same credentials to get things set up here. And then you'll basically just add a name for your tracking plan. And once you do so, you can then just select create the tracking plan from an existing source event. And this will download all the different event data for your current site. So that's currently what I have here. And you'll see here, I actually, within this site that I have set up, let's say I'm looking to ingest some data. Right, so I currently have this set up with the RudderStack SDK, and I currently am already sending data which correspond to different like clicks within the website, and also a contact form as well. So I'll actually start seeing those events. Now I currently have this tracking plan, which is going to be, which was downloaded from the source. I was able to create it from the source. And so I'll see that all those different events that I've created are actually already generated for me, right? So I didn't have to go start from scratch and generate those events again. It was automatically added to this spreadsheet. So once this is automatically added, I can rename it to be whatever I want. In this case, I renamed it to be RS tracking plan. Once that's downloaded, I can actually do another review on the tracking plan to see whether there are some properties that shouldn't be there. Maybe I want to add additional events in the future for them to be incorporated into this. But really, this will be kind of your source of truth for all the events that you intend to capture and kind of the format and the schema that it will be captured in. Okay, so just want to pause here. Are there any questions so far?
Also wanted to add that you can add questions in the chat at any point, but you can also unmute yourself.
Yeah, feel free, of course, feel free to unmute yourself, ask questions. Definitely, we're very open to that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be only about the tracking plan. Other questions you have about RudderStack also you can feel free to ask us.
All right, awesome. So again, the first step would be to get the data sorted out, get the, you'll see here, there are kind of two different sets of definitions that we need to have. First, defining what are the actual events that we are sending, right? And if I look at my site, so if we were to look at the, again, the code for the site, right here, I have a number of different track events that I'm sending. So each one of those button clicks is actually sending out a different track event, right? And the track event here is really mainly used to describe the event data or the activity that is being done on the site, right? So I have a track event for whenever a form is submitted, another one for basically whenever any of the buttons are being clicked. So this is the type of data that I'm currently sending, right? Now, I have once this is done, once I've kind of decided on these definitions, I can actually go ahead and upload this tracking plan to RudderStack. And you'll see here it actually supports versioning as well. So you can basically start from one version of it and keep iterating on it until you get all the right events, and then upload it to the RudderStack dashboard. Now, once that is uploaded, I can actually go to the dashboard and attach it here to I should be able to see that, so I should be able to see that the tracking plan will now be available here within the tracking plans tab in the dashboard, right? So this is the tracking plan that I just created. It's called RS tracking plan. And now this is ready to be attached to any one of the sources that are available. So I have a number of sources here, and here I chose to attach it to the source. So this is the tracking plan. This is the JavaScript SDK that I have within the website. And this is now going to start auditing, verifying any, validating any events, and tracking any violations in terms of it being in compliant with the data that I've defined within my spreadsheet, right? And that's really what tracking plans here are doing.
Hey, Sarah, I have a quick question. What happens with an event that is in violation?
So yeah, that's actually what we're going to be seeing now, right? So once you've attached your, that's actually a great question. But once you've attached your tracking plan, you'll see here you have a number of different options for what you want to do with the data, right? You can choose to drop any events that have unplanned events, event names, which means when we say unplanned event names, it means there are none of those. There are none of those that are currently defined within the plan, right? Maybe I went ahead and set up a new track event, or maybe I've sent an event I intended to send one that corresponds to training a button, but it just said I've missed the last part, which is now it just says training button, right? So that's not, again, it's used to describe the same event, but this is creating discrepancies in the data that will lead to different downstream destinations actually breaking. It might be leading to different analytics dashboards as well, which will not be generating any accurate data. And so in this case, it will be flagging this as a violation, right? So again, this is an example of what a violation would be. Another violation would be I'm expecting for each one of those events to have two different property names, which are either page or service, but then sent one with maybe an additional property, which is context, right? So this is also going to fire off a violation because it's not expected within the plan that I've currently set out for this. A third type of violation also is if this is expecting an event of type string, and then I send out an event of type integer as an example too. So again, all of those are examples of violations. And when I send out events within those characteristics, then it will basically flag those and let me know that there is a discrepancy that was noticed here. Right, so like we can see actually examples of how it currently works. So right now I have this connection set up, which is from this tracking plan site or this blog site that I've set up, that I have the SDK running within it. And this is sending the data just to a webhook destination. And this is just going to be a webhook testing site, which is going to show me the payload of the events that are being received. So I can see here, once they're being received within the destination, I'm actually going to be adding an additional property to the events within the destination side, which actually lists out the tracking plan that was used and also any violations that were detected. Now, in my case, I did not, like the data was sent within the format, within the plan. No non-compliant data was detected. So in my case, the violation errors property is null, right? Let's say I've sent this, chosen a different event name, which is not the one that it's expecting. So this should also generate an error. So let's see. Okay. Okay, so here, this is an example of a violation, right? It was able to flag this as a violation. And what happened here, since I sent a wrong event name, I got the violation type, which is unplanned event, right? And this is one of the types of violations that it will be flagging. And here, the nice thing about it is that it's not necessarily like allowing the event to go through without like flagging any information. And it's also not deleting any of those events. It's just giving us the option to kind of choose what we want to do with those events, right? It might be that we want to kind of add an additional transformation for this, which kind of says, if this event is, if violation errors is not null, I want to send this maybe to another development instance of my destination, right? So again, here it's around flagging any of those violations, giving us the option of creating kind of a definition of what the healthy data would look like, and then basically tracking any sources against those this healthy data rulebook that it has, and then letting in the events, but flagging any violations that it's seeing, similar to what we've seen here, which is we sent an event name that was not expected. So here it was it flagged it as a violation of unplanned event. Any questions so far on everything that happened here?
So I had one question, like using the spreadsheet for tracking plans, how can I add a field, say if I want to validate like some property inside context, would I be able to do that, or I can only add validations for the properties that I'm responsible for, like properties or user traits or etc.
Can we add validation for, are you saying for other properties?
Say if I want to add I want to specify that context.device.id should be a integer.
Okay.
Is that part of a tracking plan, or would it not be, because it is a property that is automatically added by RudderStack SDK?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great question, right? Because so yeah, those are all properties that are already being generated by RudderStack. So they're going to be available anyway, right? And let's take a look at actually the event types that we will be getting here. We go here, live events. Let's maybe do a page call. So we'll see here there are a number of different events that we get by default, right? And those are captured within RudderStack. So those will not be counted against the tracking plan. It's only what you pass through the properties that will be, in this case, compared against the tracking plan spreadsheet. So so it's really applies to any of the custom properties that you add, and not necessarily to the ones that are generated within RudderStack.
Got it. Yeah. So for the future roadmap, I think this is more of a future roadmap question. Say, if I was instrumenting the events not using a RudderStack SDK, but using the plain RudderStack HTTP API spec, in such cases, I would probably require to add validations on context properties also, because I am the one adding those instead of the SDK. So yeah, this is just a roadmap question. If RudderStack has plans to support that in the future.
To support adding those, I'm not quite sure, but I guess we could take it back and see if that's on the roadmap. But
sure.
Yeah, great question. Any other questions? Okay, awesome. Okay, so we've seen the different, again, the different components of the tracking plan. Again, it's mainly based within your RudderStack dashboard, but really you're using the spreadsheet, which has all the different scripts running in the background that will be basically uploading this, will be uploading all of this information to RudderStack, right? So it's kind of a good way to have, again, different teams working together to define what does the events need to look like, as well as the properties that will be associated to them. Each one of it, within this, you define everything again using the spreadsheet, and all of those will have different scripts that it will be running to push all of those changes, push all of those properties and the definitions to the RudderStack dashboard, and then also enforce it on any new events that are coming in. So kind of to sum up the whole idea of tracking plans, again, this is all, and the whole purpose of like having those data governance APIs is so we can actually control what is the data that is coming through our different sources and destinations, right? So tracking plans, instead of you having to kind of collect all the data and then on the data warehouse side, looking to how to transform the data and remove any data that you don't need, tracking plans, yes, they would add more effort at the beginning because there's a lot of planning that will go into it. You actually have to decide with your team what are the different event data need to look like and the properties that you want to send out. So yes, it does have a lot of planning go into it at the beginning. However, it does relieve a lot of the effort that data engineers would have to work on later in order to make sure we are getting reliable data that is good quality data that will actually help us get the insights that we want from the data that we captured. So really they're a way for developer teams and also other teams to work together to kind of have a definition of what that data would look like, and also make it easier for other teams who are kind of also onboarding with the product to understand what is the standard that's currently available for what that data should look like. So really, again, a source of truth that is going to have ongoing changes, ongoing maintenance, so that it's actually that's actually up to date to any data changes or any new events that are being captured. So again, tracking plans is it would have to be something that different teams would work on. However, it does add to a lot of data it does lead to a more high quality data that you are getting eventually within your destinations. And so they're really important for a number of reasons, because your analysts can actually go to one place and look at what the data would look like, and that would help them plan any maybe data analysis they're doing later, and maybe marketing analysis and so on, to kind of understand what is the data, what data is expected here, and also reduces the effort to kind of spend more time working on cleaning the data and making sure it's within the format that we would require it to be. Any questions so far, or any comments on tracking plans and why we need them? Questions, comments? Okay, so we have a number of references available. So I'll actually add those within the, I'm going to be sharing some of those slides, and I will be adding any of those references within the community office hour Slack channel. So if you aren't already there, make sure you join that channel. And basically, we're going to be posting any resources that were shared here. And also for any upcoming sessions that we're looking to plan, we will be posting anything there as well for you to see. So make sure you join if you haven't already. And thank you everyone for joining. We see you within the next sessions. Again, the topic for the next session is currently TBD, but in the next few days, we'll actually share a poll with all of you on a list of topics, and you can basically choose what you want, what are some of the topics that you're interested in, which will help us and create more content around it as well. Anything else from the team?
Thank you, Sarah. This was great.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Great job.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.